Hello dear viewers, and welcome back to the ancient dwarven hold of our ancestors. Today we will be talking about the game Terminator 2 No Fate. No Fate, as I will hereby be calling it, is a 16-bit pixel art mostly run and gun game developed by Bitmap Bureau and published by Reef Entertainment. It was released on the 12th of December 2025. In No Fate, you take on the role of multiple characters from the film Terminator 2, shooting, driving cars, riding bikes and fighting bikers bereft of a shirt across numerous levels as you attempt to put a stop to Skynet's evil plans. If I could just say briefly, dear viewers, that we recently hit 1,000 subscribers. This is wonderful news for this old dwarf. I'm very grateful to everyone that subscribes. Thank you for doing so, and if you haven't yet, perhaps consider doing so. If you are an older dwarf, or simply have a great taste in movies, then you would likely hold in deep regard Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. They are fantastic movies with great themes, performances and special effects. I heard once down at the inn in the ancient hold of a rumour of other films in the series. This is of course complete fabrication, as there was only ever 2 films made, and that is it. These films, especially T2, is etched in my mind, and I cannot hear the theme music without immediately getting misty-eyed for the old days. So it was my joy to hear that a new Terminator 2 based game was in development. There was another game released not too long ago for the Terminator franchise, in Terminator Resistance, which was also published by Reef. They must hold the license for it all, I guess. Regardless, they are 2 for 2 in my book with Terminator games, so keep going. So, No Fate is mostly a run and gun game, perhaps a little similar to Contra, with some platforming and vehicle sections, as well as a scrolling beat 'em up / brawler section. It plots the course of Terminator 2, allowing you to participate in some of the key scenes in the movie, and extra levels which you imagine could have happened. During all this, you take on the role of Sarah Connor, her son John Connor, and of course the T-800 himself. The 2D graphics are incredibly well done, representing just how great this style is and what pixel art artists are capable of. The scenes feel just like they were in the movie, like the bar fight with Arnie, the chase with John on the bike, the psychiatric hospital with Sarah and more. There has clearly been a lot of care and attention put into all the visual aspects of this game. The sprites look really well crafted with smooth animations and enough frames as they move around the screen. Each of the characters are very well done, looking just like those from the film, but in 16-bit form. The T-800 looks cool in the biker's leather, riding a Harley, and the T-1000, with its ability to change forms and slip through bars, gives off that menacing feeling as it relentlessly stalks John and Sarah. The different effects, the guns firing, explosions, punching people in the face, all looks lovingly done by the developers. If this was released back in the early 90s, it would have been hailed as a great piece of artistic work. The sound design is done in a way to increase your immersion when you're playing. Obviously the theme song is there, which is epic and nostalgic, alongside other parts of the soundscape you would recognise. There are remixed tracks which sound like organic works on the theme. All the storytelling is done in text form without any voiceover stuff. I imagine getting the original actors would have been rather costly, but they would no doubt have added more power to the engine. It is okay though, the cutscenes with the text describing events, usually from Sarah's perspective, works well enough. The sounds of gunfire, explosions and motorbikes are done really well, providing satisfying feedback to the goings on in game. Like the visuals, they have done a stellar job with the sound in No Fate. There are several modes to play, with 2 available right from the beginning, being the story mode and the arcade mode. In the story mode, you work through the various levels in order, with continues available should you die. In arcade mode, you get one go at it and that's it, no continues. Besides this, there are further modes and options you can unlock, which are the boss rush mode, where you fight boss after boss, infinite mode, where you face endless waves of baddies for as long as you can, and the Mother of the Future mode, where you will have to complete the game in strict times. You can also opt to complete the game with alternative decisions to see different outcomes and levels. Most levels you'll be doing some running and gunning. This involves Sarah in the present and a little of the past, or a grown-up John in the future fighting the machines. With either of them, you can run and jump while shooting weapons at enemies in 8 directions. Sarah has the option to melee opponents, while John can lob grenades at stuff that deal a lot of damage. Both Sarah and John will face all sorts of baddies in the forms of humans, turrets and machines, while John will face mostly machines, including Terminators of different sorts. Regardless of the playable character, the aim is always to make your way through the level, killing baddies, avoiding fire while doing some platforming. A lot of levels end with a boss battle, along with a few mini-bosses thrown in for good measure. The action here is good fun, running about the place, dodging fire and taking out baddies. There is some platforming, avoiding obstacles and traps and things, but it is nothing too taxing. I completed the story on normal after a few goes, learning the layout of the levels, baddies, patterns and what bosses are about. It isn't all running and gunning though. There are several levels or parts of levels which other interactions best fit the theme of the scene being portrayed. I.e., when John is being chased on the bike by the T-1000, you are on control of him on his bike, avoiding obstacles, and then further on taking control of the T-800 shooting and driving. There is a stealth-like level with Sarah in the psychiatric hospital, which is tense as the T-1000 tries to get you. There is also the famous scene where Arnie is in the buff smacking bikers with his fists as he looks for some clothes to wear. This stuff is great and it adds to the cinematic feel of the game. Indeed, the game is rather immersive and it felt like I was stuck in the middle of things. Both the 90s California and the future war zone very much remind you of the films. This is an accurate representation of the movies themselves, with no added flashiness or fanciness. It's great. What I would say is, besides being a throwback to games back in the long years, the difficulty and gameplay are there too. In the story mode, you get a certain number of lives, and once they are depleted, it's game over. You can't save or load anything, and the levels are not accessible out of order, in that you can't skip the first few levels to play the others. You have to get through the game in one go, as it was back in the day. It might not take that long, in both attempts and time, to complete the game on normal or easy. You might cry foul of this being too easy or too short, which I can understand, but this sort of game is not purely a one and done deal. You're encouraged to play through the game multiple times and in different ways. For example, you can unlock alternative paths by choosing to do things different from the original story portrayed in the game, like not resetting the T-800's chip or killing Miles Dyson. The game also includes a high score list. Then there are the extra difficulties, which for this old dwarf at least is definitely a challenge to do. As I noted earlier, you can unlock the different modes like the boss rush and the endless wave modes, so this doesn't have to be a simple one and done endeavour. Of course, if that is what you want to do, then that's perfectly fine, but if you want more content, more Terminator 2 goodness, then there is a lot to be getting on with. The game is unapologetic in its callback to the 16-bit generation of video gaming. This is very much of the ilk of games like Ghouls and Ghosts, Contra or Castlevania. You have to learn how the game works, enemy patterns, when to jump and all that, and you have to get through it in one run, so no saves or anything like that. It is going to be a bit of a Marmite deal where you either love it or hate it, but I would say for me it is certainly a love. It is refreshing, frankly, to have something like this release in modern times of arena shooters and live services. This is an old school game in an old school style based on an old school story. That is a good thing to have. I hope this might spur on others to create something like this from other old films or stories. It could be a 16-bit style or whatever style you like, frankly. There is still a lot of us old gamers, and some new ones too, that still want well-crafted games that you can pick up and put down whenever you're finished with. Games don't need to be endless, with constant updates and an evolving continuous experience. Sometimes it is a good thing to have a finite duration, to have an endpoint. That is how it used to be back in the past, and it still has meaning today, dear viewers. That is certainly what this old dwarf thinks, anyway. Overall, I would say this is a great game that has appeal not only to us old dwarfs in our ancient holds, but also to new gamers too, that want to check out a game not only in a classic visual style, but also gameplay wise as well. You can engage with it however you like. You can simply complete it once and put it down, perhaps playing it again next month or next year or whenever, or you can engage with the other modes and options available in game and put a lot of hours into it. It's up to you. It is available currently for £25 on Steam, Xbox, PlayStation and Switch. I think it is a decent price. Perhaps it might seem a little steep if you only plan to run through it once, but there is a lot to get to grips with here, I think. I also think we need to encourage developers to make games like this that aren't necessarily of the current zeitgeist in gaming. Like scrolling beat-em-ups are showing, there is still a place for these sorts of game in the modern landscape. We haven't forgotten. We remember the old ways, dear viewers. And there we go, dear viewers. Another video from me here down in the ancient hold. I hope you enjoyed it. Could I request that if you like what I do down here, then perhaps consider liking the video or leaving a comment. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.